वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुम्। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। In this very important portion, in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Geetā, where mind control was discussed, in the last class we saw Sri Krishna giving the way to bring our mind under control. After first acknowledging, after first agreeing that mind control is extremely difficult, he then gives to Arjuna, and through Arjuna to all of us, the way out, the solution. The problem is very hard, admitted, but there does exist a solution for this hard problem. What is that? Vairagyena cha kaunteya abhyasena cha grihyate. And in the Shankara Bhāshya, for abhyasa, practice, a beautiful definition was given, that is, chitta bhumau kasyanchit samana pratyaya avritti chittasya. If you and I are able to hold on to a thought, repeat that thought only with understanding, not mechanically, not in a dull way, but with a certain understanding that staying with this thought, I will weaken other thoughts. I will weaken a number of other thoughts which have so far been very harmful to me. Anger, desire, jealousy, boredom, low self-esteem, negativities of different kinds. All of these have made my life miserable, the sadhaka realizes. And in order to make them weak, in order to make them take a back seat, if not get out of the room, the sadhaka does abhyasa. He holds on to a good thought. It could be a mantra, it could be a passage, it could be just name of God, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And in modern psychology, there is a word affirmation. It could be a healthy affirmation. When our spirits think that we are no good, everybody is saying, I am not good. Then, after some careful examination, I say, well, I do have some shortcomings. I am not saying I am perfect, but people have no business to say, I am very bad, I am useless, I must leave this company or leave that organization, leave this post, I must go leave this town and go somewhere else. People are irresponsible in talking about me in that way. So coming to affirmation in a single sentence, I do have some shortcomings, but I will overcome them. That's an affirmation. I am not as bad as people think. Another form of affirmation. Affirm, strengthen, reinforce a thought in yourself. So that's what Shankara means, or one of the possibilities is that chitta bhumau kasyanchit samana pratyaya avritti. Same thought, I can do, I am not bad. If there are one or two shortcomings in me, I will overcome them. In this way, same thought should come again and again. Vairagya is drishta adrishta ishta bhogeshu dosha darshana abhyasat vaitrishyam. So by doing some reflection and seeing that the attraction to sense object or a certain act where we indulge merely in sense pleasure as dosha. We have to see that dosha, not just to chant a shloka about dosha. Dosha darshana abhyasat vaitrishnam. Then the thirst or the longing for certain power or pleasure or position becomes weaker and may vanish. Trishna was there and now there is no Trishna, that is Vitrishna, that is Vaitrishnam. In this way, the verse of Sri Krishna 35 is something that deserves to be written in golden letters. For mind control is a major challenge for all of us in life. And Sri Krishna has given the two-pronged approach. One is have some abhyasa daily. Another is don't live mechanically. Whenever first you think, how nice it would be to enjoy this, do some reflection. Make it a habit to question your own evaluation. You evaluate some ice cream, let us say, as heavenly. Question, is ice cream really heavenly? Are there no 100 other ways to be happy? Why have I become so dependent on ice cream? And so on. So in very many contexts, we question either our attraction to or our repulsion from. I don't like my aunt. I don't like my uncle. And day and night I burn with the negative thought about this uncle or aunt. So, vairagya is we must question, why am I so hung up with my aunt? Why am I so stuck with these thoughts about my uncle? This is ridiculous. This doesn't speak for a mature person. It is very childish. That is, to label that kind of dislike towards, in this example, an uncle or aunt, to label it as false, not right, I should not have such thoughts, is dosha darshana. With this, Sri Krishna himself summarizes the importance of self-control. Now in 36, we have asanyatatmana yogo dushprapa iti me matihi vashyatmana tu yatata shakyo vaptumupayataha. As long as we are asamyata atma, atma here is mind. Our mind is not sanyata, not controlled. Then higher spirituality called yoga here is dushprapa, is not possible to attain. The word yoga in Bhagavad Geetā is used so many ways. It's nice that in this 36th verse, which we are seeing today in India, it is already 21st of June 2023, International Yoga Day. June 21 is International Yoga Day. And here you have Sri Krishna saying, yoga is extremely hard to get if you lack mind control, sense control. Whereas, by the two means that I have indicated, abhyasa and vairagya, vashyatmana, if you become someone who has a high degree of control over the mind, over the senses, then shakyaha, higher spirituality, where you have divine experiences, where numerous psychological issues just vanish into thin air because of that higher state of consciousness where you have arrived. That we hear sometimes, such and such yogi, such and such jnani, such and such Mahatma had such a mind, very pure mind. We don't have such a pure mind. So, how do we get it? Shakyaha, it's possible to have that mind, that pure mind. Shankara explains, Yap punaha asanyatatma tena, asanyatatmana, abhyasa vairagyabhyam asanyatah. He did not control the mind through abhyasa and vairagya. These two solutions were given long back. And among us there could be a person who knows that these are the ways. As I have said, it's like somebody knows this is the medicine for my, let's say, headache. But he looks at the medicine and keeps it again back on the table, doesn't consume the medicine. That's what Shankara means. Vairagya abhyasabhyam asanyatah. Then Atma is manaha, I said. Shankara writes, antakaranam. That kind of person lacking in self-control would find yoga, higher spirituality, extremely difficult. Again and again, he slips and falls. He is unable to reach, he is unable to arrive on that higher level. Iti me mati, Arjuna, that's how I look at things. Yastu punaha vashyatma abhyasa vairagya pramati. Those are the two means. Those are the two practices. And then mind is under your control. Then bhuyope prayatnam kurvata, as you go further on that line of or on the road of practice, shakyaha avaptum upayatah yatokta upaya. The upaya, as have been said, are no other than abhyasa and vairagya. With this, on this 36th verse, the portion on mind and its control comes to completion. Now comes a second question by Arjuna. In other words, towards the end of the 6th chapter in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna asks two questions. One is about how to control the very, very strong mind which has other vasanas. And another is, suppose somebody has come a long way, however, because of some distraction, because of some bad influence, he goes loose, he relaxes, he actually gets distracted from yoga. Then, God forbid, but suppose he dies. At one time, he was a rising star, but now, because of various distractions, this man or this lady is, alas, not focusing well. And then death comes to this person. Then will he be or will she be completely lost? Everything is ruined? That is Arjuna's question. And in that context, we will see in the next 11 verses, Lord Krishna also brings in the topic of reincarnation, Punarjanma. So sometimes people ask, you talk about Punarjanma, does Gita talk about Punarjanma? Gita does, of course, at many places in the entire Gita. But if you want one portion where it is expressed in very clear terms, with a certain emphasis, it is this. Between 36:7 and 46, in 10 verses, you have Bhagavad Gita talking about Punarjanma. Let's see Arjuna's question. Arjuna's question itself goes to 3 shlokas. Therefore, 37, 38, and 39 are Arjuna's questions. So if you say 40 to 46, that also is full 6 to 7 verses. Sri Krishna addresses the issue of continuation of our existence in another body, another form, another place, another country maybe. So Arjuna says, Ayati Shraddhayo Petaha Yogat Chalita Manasaha अप्राप्य योग संसिद्धिं तां गतिं कृष्ण गच्छति. Further, कच्चिन्नो भय विभ्रष्टः छिन्नाभ्रमिव नश्यति अप्रतिष्ठो महाबाहो विमूढ़ो ब्रह्मण पथि. These are the two verses where he has expressed his doubt. We will see later the third verse in the mouth of Arjuna. He is not adding to this question, but a humble request that I have this doubt. Kindly resolve this. I don't have anybody else other than you. I don't have anyone who is eminent like you, anyone who is anywhere near you. All my other advisors and friends are way behind. Sri Krishna, please be kind enough to answer this question. That's going to be 39, but 37 and 38, which I sang in Ayatihi. Somehow, though this lady has all scriptural knowledge, she has written many books, she has given many lectures, she has attended so many spiritual camps. To start explaining something, she says, I know that, I have read that, I have heard this. In fact, if you tell her some stories, she will tell two stories in return, similar. You tell an example, she also has two examples to support that. Then where is she going wrong? Ayatihi. She talks very well, writes very well, and has everything in the brain, but left to herself, she does not do sadhana. So she is a spoiled intellectual. She is a victim of her own bad habits. All she does is reads and speaks and writes and argues, but never sits down or never, when a certain dirty thought arises, she never holds it back. Rather, she takes pleasure in it. She goes ahead, she thinks more in that direction. Sadhana involves quickly deciding this is not a thought worth pursuing and quickly bringing the mind back from that thought to the pure self, as it had come in the shloka. Atma samstam manakritva na kinchidapi chintaye, said one of the verses. Right? So, ayati, someone who has knowledge, bookish knowledge, but does not actually practice meditation, practice upasanas, practice certain other yogic exercises, only talks about them. Ayati, then what happens to him? The last part of the shloka, Kam Gatim Krishna Gacchati. Where literally it means Kam Gatim. What destination does he reach? That means where does he or where will she end up? Shraddhaya Peta. You don't say this person has no faith. She has faith. She has very strong faith, but lack of self-control. Then Yogat Chalita Manasa. This sadhaka or sadhika has, there's a word in English, drifted away. Drifted. A dry leaf was floating and going from south to north. And two boys were looking at the dry leaf floating in air and moving straight in a south to north direction. They made a comment. Oh, look at how the leaf is going in a straight line. As though the leaf heard their voice, it started going leftward, after some time rightward, then it started going down, then again it started going up. Then the boys laughed. Oh, the leaf heard our comment. So no more is it going in a straight line. Likewise, you and I on the spiritual path could be doing very well for a good length of time. Then some influence or our own old vasana rises and makes us drift. Yoga samsiddhim aprapya, then in that case, without attaining what had to be accomplished, kam gatim Krishna gacchati. Where does that sadhika end up? What will happen to her? Adi Shankara explains this question. Payatihi aprayatnavan. A youngster was going, this really happened in Bangalore, on a two-wheeler. And at a distance, a little boy was crossing the road. And the youngster understood, if I don't slow down, I will hit this boy. He thought, he started trembling, he became nervous, and he went and hit the boy. Then later somebody asked, you say that even when we were 20 feet away, you realized the danger. I might hit this boy. Why did you not put your foot upon brakes? Or if it is a hand-controlled brake, why didn't you activate the brake? He said, that's what I also want to ask you. Why did I not do this? He asked the elders. The elders said, you were on the two-wheeler and your one hand was on the brakes. It was up to you to control. But as the word goes in Shankara Bhāshya, aprayatnavan. He was looking at the boy crossing the road and feeling, oh, I may hit, but did not do anything, leave alone stopping the vehicle. He did not even slow down the vehicle. And therefore he hit the boy. Of course, mildly, not a major accident, because speed itself was less, not too much. Anyway, this question is so relevant in modern times. 99 out of 100 people who read Geetā, who talk on Geetā, who write on Geetā, who are very knowledgeable on Geetā, actually don't do real sadhana. Therefore, they should work hard. They have a lopsided development. Imagine a tree grows beautifully on right side, but hardly any extent the left side. That is called lopsided growth. Sadhakas tend to become lopsided because ragadvesha, likes and dislikes. Some people don't like study at all. They sit meditating, but because of no study, meditation becomes dull. And then there are people who study a lot, but they can't sit down anymore. Likewise, why talk about only study and meditation? There are some who like administration so much. If God gives them 26 hours per day, they will do all 26 hours administration. But they don't want to study scriptures or take care of somebody or, yoga asana, pranayama, etc. So everybody has his or her vasanas. Therefore, to allow our vasanas to enslave us would mean ayati, aprayatnama, shraddhaya upeta. So even though one has faith, alas, one doesn't get the benefit of that faith because where one knows clearly, this is a time for me to act, to put my foot down. Very strange. One knows and yet one doesn't do. Yoga chalita manasa. So mind, manasa has gone away from those higher spiritual planes. Yoga samsiddhim aprapya kam gatim Krishna gacchati. So we have Sri Krishna being asked. Shankara provides for yoga samsiddhim, he provides the word yoga phalam. So somebody sees this person, let's say, studying a lot, then you would imagine, anybody would imagine, He is studying so much, so he must be on a very high plane of spirituality. But that is not the truth. The truth is, this lady has a long way to go. So that is why Arjuna's question applies to all of us to varying extents. All of us have to introspect. Should we increase our study and reduce our practices, sitting down and japa, dhyana, etc.? Or is our problem the other way around? Sit too much and have developed a dislike to studying. We even openly say sometimes, I have studied enough. I don't want to open any book now. I just want to meditate all the time. You need to do both. For meditating without studying will lead to dullness. And studying without meditation will lead to our mind continuing to have vasanas, which have great force. To weaken the vasanas, you have to do some upasanas. So, Chalita Manasaha Brashta Smriti Kam Gatim Krishna Gacchati. And Arjuna himself elaborates in the next shloka, which we read already. Shankara Bhāshya says, Kachit. Please note, Kachit is not Kaschit. Kaschit means an uncertain, indefinite pronoun. To say, somebody came yesterday and took away my pen. To use the word Kaschit. Kaschit vyaha agatya mama lekhanim nitavam. Kaschit. Here it is not Kaschit, it is Kachit. In Valmiki Ramayana, there is a whole sarga, 100 sarga in Ayodhya Kanda. And that is called Kachit sarga, because the word Kachit comes more than 50 times in that chapter. Kachit is a word which is used to bring a sense of kind inquiry. Arjuna is making a humble and kind inquiry. Kachit, Sri Krishna, will that lady's case be one that is comparable with a small piece of a cloud getting separated from the larger cloud, and being so small, very soon it breaks into pieces and gets destroyed. Chinna Abram. As long as that small piece was connected, was with the big cloud, it was moving long distances. The whole cloud moved maybe many miles. And this little part also was going, because it was well tied, well connected to the whole cloud. Whereas Yoga Chalita Manasa, Yoga Brashtaha, that person would be a case where the small piece has got separated and then it breaks into more pieces and it is destroyed. Ubaya Vibrashtaha, gone from both. Shankaracharya writes, Karma Marga, Yoga Marga. One is Nishkama Karma. Another is Yoga could mean various practices of Upasana, meditation and so on. So there is work, there is meditation, there is study. All of them have their own place. Apratishtaha, not anchored anywhere. O Mahabahu. Here Arjuna is addressing Sri Krishna as Mahabahu. At many other places, Sri Krishna has called Arjuna Mahabahu, O mighty armed one. Here Arjuna says, Sri Krishna, you are indeed mighty armed. You are so powerful and you are so knowledgeable. On the path to Brahma, Brahmanapati, thus the Yoga Brashta, to take it literally, someone who had gone to a certain height, but then death took place. Will all her sadhana go to waste? Is the question. So, Kachit is a kind inquiry. Now let's see Shankara's commentary. Ubaya Vibrashta, neither into Nishkama Karma or into certain special practices, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, etc., or even continued contemplation on Upanishadic statements. There are many students of Vedanta who don't go about Vedanta study in a certain disciplined manner. Here and there, as per their mood, they read some pages. And that is good enough for them to talk at length, talk endlessly almost. They read here and there as per mood. It should not be such a moody affair. There has to be a continuity. Ramana Maharshi says, you need stamina, you need strength. And you wonder what stamina, what strength is he talking about? You know what? The stamina that is required in spirituality is many a time seekers like you and me come up to a certain height of contemplation. They enjoy it. Yeah, I'm now getting insights. Because we don't have the stamina, we just get distracted. So stamina is not just physical stamina, being able to sit for a long time, being able to run, walk, lift something and keep it up, hold it up, etc. Physical stamina has its own place in games, in sports, in athletics. Some people have great stamina. In the last 5 minutes of a match. In the last 5 minutes of a match, some players show suddenly a rush of stamina into them. And they play so briskly, they get 2 or 3 goals and their team wins. 5 minutes before the match ended, this team had hardly any hope of winning the match. But one player suddenly, as though some energy got into him. Like that, these are physical examples. In spirituality, the scenario is more like you are able to pursue a question. For example, who am I inquiring? So, so much with consistency, so steadily that you dig deeper and deeper. You break new ground. Then, is it possible that somebody, because of a little undisciplined way of living, never has the stamina? She was all set to break a wall and enter, let's say, a hall. She had the talent, but distracted, went away. So in life, you must have the ability, then you must have the ability to use your ability. So the word yoga margacha, karma margacha vibrashta opens up a lot of possibilities. Therefore, it's true that along with study, contemplation, sometimes you and I should sit quietly and try to understand how we have been doing. Then certain big errors, certain blunders, certain mistakes we have been making all these years become extremely clear. The great mystic J. Krishnamurti used to say, through thinking, you don't come upon any solution. Thought cannot give you a solution. Generally, we invest in thought. J. Krishnamurti is of the view that when you sit quietly and let go of thoughts, from silence, a certain liberating insight will arise. He actually doesn't mince words. Thought does not have the intelligence to solve your psychological problems. Thought has the intelligence to solve mechanical problems, information-based problems. Thought doesn't have the intelligence to solve your psychological problems, such as pride. Somehow you are very proud of your family. Somehow you are very proud of some of your old achievements. Though now you are nowhere near that form, you are at certain form and you achieved at one time. There you live a life of degradation. But you continue to carry some pride, right? That pride is a psychological problem. Low self-esteem is a psychological problem. And many things that mind does with questionable basis are psychological problems. And Krishnamurti says, thought does not have the ability to resolve issues or problems. He is referring to psychological. So, we must set aside thought. We must put aside thought. Don't use thought. Thought is not the tool to solve deeper problems. Then what under the sun is the tool? Is silence. Not idiotic silence, stupid silence, dull silence, forced silence, unnatural silence, etc. This silence is natural. It is in fact the fragrance of maturity. You yourself see that merely going from one thought to another, one idea to another, jumping from one memory to another, is not leading you anywhere. When you say, all these are not leading me, I let go of them. Let me just sit quietly. Not go to sleep, sit quietly, remaining watchful. Then from nowhere, in an unexpected manner, a certain insight comes. Not only spiritual seekers or teachers, mystics, but scientists and experts in many subjects have said this. Some scientists have even gone to the extent of saying that suddenly from nowhere in their mind, some figures appear. In the story of benzene ring, benzene has a molecular structure of some kind of a ring or some kind of so many atoms coming in a particular way to form that benzene molecule. That scientist got that structure in dream. In dream, he saw a snake trying to swallow or catch its own tail. So this mouth of the snake is trying to catch its own tail. And he got up from the dream. What is this very strange scenario? A snake trying to swallow itself, starting from the tail. Then he just said, oh, that is the molecular structure of benzene. He had gone up to some extent. Therefore, it was not thought, but it was a certain restful state of mind in which he was. So we have Krishnamurti and many other mystics saying, I personally don't interpret it as they are asking you not to study, but I would say, they would say that I would say their message is not to imagine thought and thought. Thinking and thinking will give all the solutions. There are times when out of silence come wonderful solutions. A friend of mine last week only said, he was reflecting on something and then he got so tired, he went to a nearby park and sat on a bench looking at a lake where some ducks were swimming. He just was watching. He said to me, suddenly he saw, the Olympic rings, 5 rings that become the logo of Olympics, held once in 4 years. And he said, why are these Olympic rings coming before me? And to his pleasant surprise, whatever he was reflecting on had a solution, had an answer in the form of 5 components. And the 5 rings of the Olympics logo suggested to him Catch hold of these five. Stay with these five. Things will be done. So, we have said all this because we said if we are weak in sitting quietly, we must practice more of sitting quietly. If we are weak in reading, studying, always postponing studying, so we must work against the current, against our habit, and study a little more than otherwise. And then there is seva, karma marga. Or it could be karma marga, could be puja also. So Sri Shankaracharya says, apratishtaha nirashraya. Before that, Chinnabram, I have explained, a piece of a cloud that has got separated from the big cloud. Do we perish? Do we just get destroyed like that if we die before our goal is realized? Brahmanapati, Brahma Prapti Margi. And let's quickly see the verse where Arjuna makes an entreaty. He makes a humble request. Etanme samshayam Krishna chetumarhasi asheshataha twadanya sanshayasya chetana yupapadyate. Sri Krishna, you ought to remove this doubt of mine completely, asheshataha. For tvadanyaha, other than you, there is nobody whom I know who can help me in this matter. Adi Shankara writes, Etanme mama samshayam Krishna chetum apanetum. Chetum is a dramatic word, cutting. Cutting the Gordian knot, as the expression goes. Cutting asunder. But otherwise, remove. Apanayana is taking away. Take away something. As you know, there is a sweet composition of 6 verses on Mahavishnu, Vishnu Shatpadi. And it begins with that Avinayam Apanaya Vishnu Damaya Mana Shamaya Vishaya Mrida Krishna. Like that. Avinayam Apanaya. With nice rhyming alankara in the kriti, in that composition. What it means is, I have a certain immodesty. At wrong times, I think high of myself. Where I should bow down, I put my chest up and ask even an elderly person, what do you want? And so on, disrespectful. So, that is avinaya. Or leave alone elders and respectable people. Sometimes I don't give due respect to God Himself. I forget that God is running this world. I tend to imagine that I am running this world. I will do this, I will do that. Even about our own sadhana, sometimes a certain egoism rises in us. I have the willpower. Just watch. In a few days, how I will increase my hours of meditation. How I will get up earlier than ever before. How I will actually break my own records. I've been doing 10 malas of some month. Tomorrow onwards, just see, I will do 20 malas per day. So this I has a foul smell of imagining whether God wills it or not. The truth is, if God wills, mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate giri. If God wills, those of us who find it hard to get up even at 7 a.m. can start getting up at 4:30 without fail. And if God doesn't will, no matter how much we decide, sankalpa we do, how much we resolve, we announce, we declare, like the curved tail of a dog, we remain as we were before. So that is avinaya. But coming back to apanaya, Shankaracharya says, Etat mama samshayam apanetum arhasi. Asheshapa. Completely. Arhasi is tumun pratyaya with arhasi. Chetum arhasi, kattum arhasi, vaktum arhasi, bodhum arhasi. You put tum, vaktum, kartum. That's called tumun. And arhasi. Though elsewhere arhasi means you deserve, arhata. But here that prayoga means you should, you ought to. And generally it is a request. Please remove my doubt. Tvadanyaha, tvattaha anyaha, rishihi devova. There is no rishi to my knowledge. I have no access to any rishi or any deva, right, to remove nashayita samsayasya asya yasmat na upapadyate ataha, therefore tvameva chetum arhasi ityartha. You yourself should hold my hand and lift me. So Arjuna himself represents that submission, that love of God, that earnest prayer for God Almighty to come and help you. You and I also, once in a while, or if not all the time, check and double check. Has sadhana become another obsession with us? Has sadhana become another, some kind of feather in our cap? Has spiritual practice become one more way in which I think that I am an important person, either telling somebody or in our own mind? Yeah, how spiritual I have become these days. I think I am really on a much higher plane. Nowadays, I am not the same as before. What wonderful self-control I have, wonderful understanding of scriptures I have, and I do this. Suppose is I rises in us in that fashion, though it may be true that these days you are working harder, you are understanding Shastras better, that may be true. But that thought, I am so much better nowadays. Very soon you just watch out that I will reach. That kind of self-talk smacks of certain impoliteness. We must learn from Arjuna who begs of Sri Krishna to help him. We will see in the next class. Maybe in 2 more classes we shall complete this chapter where Sri Krishna on one hand assures Arjuna that a yoga brashta will not be lost or ruined, and on the other he talks of if a yoga brashta dies, then he will get a better life than before. Because all the yoga, all the spiritual practices he had taken up will not go in vain, and so on. We'll pause here, and in fact, may Sri Krishna bless all of us in our sadhana. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hari Om.